Dear brothers, as promised at the end of last week, there is a second part to our reflection conversation that I personally think is more important, or just as important anyways, as the first. So the first part that we talked about last week was reflecting on if your conduct matches your aspirations and matches your moral code. Are you actively being the man you want to be? But I left out probably, I'll admit it, it is my favorite aspect of daily reflection. And that is the writing down of the beautiful parts of your day. Literally, maybe beautiful is the wrong word. Some things are beautiful, some things are tough, some things are ugly, but literally writing down what's happened in your day. So this became apparent to me back in 2019. And I actually have a journal entry that I'm going to read part of to you guys today that I recently posted on my website. I'm actually going to be putting some specific journal musings of mine on my website. So it's drjacksontaylor.com/my-meditations. I'll put the link in the description. But in this entry, I talk about how I had just read through Brett McKay's 30 Days to a Better Man. If you haven't read that, I really recommend it. And he talks about how his granddad created this memoir that was based off of his journals, and how that memoir has now been passed from generation to generation. And that really struck me. And so in my journal entry, I wrote the following. This strikes me because I know almost nothing about my family. Likely my own fault for not asking. However, I also don't know much about my own father's life. I know a small amount, but when he passed away 5 years ago, I was left with childhood memories and some small heirlooms. I thought to myself, how wonderful would it be to have his journals, had he written any? To know his life more intimately, with all his successes and mistakes, his struggles as a man. I believe now that this is something I want my future family to have. Moreover, something I can have to reflect on my own life and be a better man. I have many flaws, mostly hidden from the outside world, that I struggle against, but they continue to control me. To write them down and bear myself raw on paper is an aim to unload the shit of my life and face it. In this way, I can be a better human, and hopefully my children, God willing, will be able to learn from it. Let these words act as a promise to write daily about the good, the bad, the beautiful, and the ugly. Even if it is short, I promise to put my thoughts down to bring myself and my future family happiness, chances to learn, introspection, and love. It gives my life some purpose to do this beyond self-glory, and by acknowledging that, life has a greater meaning. Since that entry, I have journaled daily for almost 6 years. There may be small gaps here and there of a week or two or a couple of days missed, but overall, I have been religious about writing each and every day. So let me tell you guys a little bit of what I have recorded about myself in the last 6 years. Starting with struggling to find a good woman, to meeting this beautiful woman and having a charcuterie board and talking Game of Thrones at our first date, to recording our first 3 dates and what we talked about, to kissing her for the first time, to my nerves about if she would move down to Florida with me or not, to making the decision or contemplating if she's actually going to be the one, to deciding that she is the one and finding a ring and picking a location, only to have that location messed up, and then I had to pick another location, and recording the exact moments when she was quite noticeably shocked that I was on a knee on the sand on this little island up in Maine, to her saying I do, to both of us saying I do, I suppose, at our wedding, and how beautiful that was. Every moment of my now wife and I's relationship, I have written down in a journal. Our special moments, our fun, our difficulties, my struggles, all of it. Better, Not better, I suppose. She's the best. But all of my business battles, battling with if I'm even capable of running a business, to going full throttle, saying, hey, I'm getting out of the normal PT world 9 to 5 and I'm going to start my own business and go self-employed, to losing thousands of dollars because of doing that, to finally getting contracts with multiple country clubs locally and now working with people in 5 different countries and all over the US, to having times where I didn't get any new clients for 2 or 3 months and wondering if this business thing is really for me. And now back to today where business is thriving and I'm a lot more confident. My whole business life in the last 6 years, I've recorded. To getting our newest addition to the family, my little boy Brewski, who's asleep next to me right now, and struggling with him, literally not sleeping for the first 3 months of his life. To helping my best friends manage their pains and successes, to having journal entries where I literally just prayed or asked God for help or questioned God's existence entirely, to writing down many of the topics I discuss with all of you on this podcast, to thinking, I read this the other day, I wrote down, I'm not even sure I'm good enough, I'm not worthy enough to do a podcast, I'm not smart enough, I'm not virtuous enough, I shouldn't do that. And also writing down that guy, that little voice should screw off. To beautiful sunrises from our balcony, to awkward moments at coffee shops or little interactions with people at grocery stores. One sticks out in my mind of a lady who helped me find soup when I was sick. And she said, baby, you gotta have Progresso low sodium. It's all you need to get. I have that written down and it makes me smile that I got to read that the other day. I have lessons and book reviews written in my journal, frustrations with my family or my friends. I have hundreds probably of entries where all I do is say that I'm grateful for my life, for my wife, for my dogs, for my family, for the fact that it's sunny out or for the fact that it's raining out, just showing gratitude for my life. The list is honestly endless, guys. And the moral of the story is this. I now have 6 whole years of journals that my future children and their children and their children can read about my life, about my struggles, my successes, my triumphs, about the fact that I'm just a human and just like them, I'm going to have struggles and battle the woes of life. And they're going to understand how I met my now wife and how our relationship blossomed and how we now have this current life that we're in, how we met, how we handled conflict, how I brought my business to life, how important it is to call your loved ones, how being a good human is all that matters, how I've struggled with God and my own concept of something being bigger than me. It is my own memoir, a raw, unadulterated version of who I am and what I'm going through. And there is a pretty big lesson that I've learned in all of this that I think you guys will jive with. And that is, there is no one more wise than your former self. I'll say that again. There is no one more wise than your former self. And what I mean by that is this. When I read through my writings, every month I try to go through everything that I've written. I come across multiple pieces of wisdom which blow me away. Almost like the person who wrote those isn't me. And as I go back in time and I read my journals from the last few years, I end up reading about myself wrestling with really difficult things, or I was seeing something beautiful. And to read about those events literally changes how I view the world today and how I'm going to approach the future. Sometimes it's a slap in the face to get my shit together. Other times it's a soft hand on my shoulder, letting me know that I'm going to be all right. And I've been through some really hard stuff in my life. And other times it's a gentle reminder that God is good and I find peace. Fellas, I can't make you do this. I can't force you to wake up and journal or write. But I honestly, outside of praying, there is nothing more important that you can do. Start your day every day with a quick journal entry. Do it at the end of the day if you have to, but I really prefer the mornings. Every morning, take 5 minutes and write down your thoughts. Record a conversation you had from the day before. Write down something you're struggling with. Write down how beautiful the sound of the birds are outside your window. Write down how proud you are of your kids or something you can do to be a better parent. Write down the aspects of your life that you're grateful for. Write down if you're anxious. Write down if you're doing good in your job or struggling with your job. Put down anything, good, bad, ugly, it doesn't matter. It's the most important thing that I do every day, honestly, like I said, outside of prayer. But give your future generations a gift. It takes no money, no fame, nothing special. It's just your time writing down your thoughts. If you guys need help figuring that out or where to start, just drop me a message. I'm honestly, every time I get someone to journal, it's like the greatest moment of my life. The most important part of it is this. Just sit down and write. Pen to paper. If you can't think of anything to write about, you're blank. And this happens to me all the time. I just don't know what to write. I put down a few things in my life I'm grateful for, at least 3 of them. And that's it. That's my journal for the day. It doesn't have to be special. It doesn't have to be crazy. But guys, after doing this for so long, it has changed my life. It's made me a better man. And I hope that that can happen in your life as well. All that matters is that you sit down and write. God bless, fellas. I love all of you. Be strong. Let's get after it, boys.